Hello, my name's Tom Call with Incubation Systems. It's 2 weeks before the IPPE show in Atlanta, Georgia. We're at booth 10243, and we have our booths set up here in our warehouse today. And I'd like to show you some of the new stuff we have this year. So if you come on back here, first of all, we have our wireless calibration kit. It'll do up to 6 temperatures. It's totally wireless. You put this in the machine, and with this clip here, you clip it to the probe, and it'll send the temperature to this device that you take outside your machine, and you can calibrate the machine. And like I said, if you use 6 of them, you can do 2 machines at once, and it's accurate to within 1/10 of a degree Fahrenheit. The thing I'm really excited about this year is our independent backup alarm. This will work with any machine in any manufacturer. This is totally independent of the control that's on the machine. You have one of these in each box, which this is our mercury-free over and under temperature alarm. You set your high temperature here, your low temperature, and you can hook it up to alarm if you want, or you can just hook it up to this. And this wires so much easier than any other central alarm that's out there, for the reason that you have a cable this size that goes from the computer to the first machine, from the first machine to the second, from the second to the third, and on and on. Right now we're showing 160 machines on this screen. And you can see it scanning each machine. It's not just scanning for an alarm, it actually knows the temperature inside the machine. Like for example, let's say you're going to clean out a bunch of hatchers. You can select the hatchers you're going to clean out, and you go ahead and say, I can go ahead and I can turn off the COM alarm or power failure alarm, or I can turn off the high temp alarm, I can turn off the low temp alarm, and I can also change what's displayed in each one of these boxes here. Right now it's temperature, but I can put the name of the machine, the COM ID, the temperature, which is on there now, the over temp set point, the low temp set point. So if I want to check that I have my set points all right, I can do the over temp set point, and I can see the whole hatchery at once and scan it and make sure it's okay. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to totally disable this, because I'm going to clean out those machines, and they turn gray. So it's very obvious which machines you're not monitoring. And if any machine is alarming, I'll create an alarm here by changing the set point on a couple machines here, and it'll turn red. So if there's any machine alarming, it'll turn red and it'll beep. And if you don't want the beep, you just hit there and the beep goes away. But it shows up who's alarming in the hatchery. But now let's say I want to, well, I'll leave that off for now. Well, okay, I'll just go ahead and enable these. And I'm going to say, okay, update. And I'll turn that off for now. But when it scans across there, those will turn green again. But again, like I said, this is totally independent. It has nothing to do with the machine you have. It just monitors all your machines. Now what we have here is our Vortec communicator. This hooks up to your Vortec Commander software, and it monitors the communication between the machines and Vortec Commander and looks for any alarm conditions. And if there is an alarm condition, it'll show up. If it's active, it'll show up here red. If it's already corrected, it'll show up in green. For example, we had a rear low temp that started this date, this time, and it was corrected this date and this time. And this is when it called. Now when you set this up, for example, here I hit alarm setup. I have it set to call on front high temp, front low temp, rear high temp, rear low temp, but I do not want it to call me on high humidity, low humidity, or turning. So I have those turned off. So you can pick what alarms you're going to get called on, which ones you're not going to get called on. And then contact setup is who it calls. Now, for example, here we have this. It's going to call this guy it's going to send an email to this guy at this email address, and it is enabled. And here's the phone number. It's going to text him, and the carrier is Verizon, and that's enabled. So with any of those checked alarm conditions, you're going to get an email as well as a text message as to what's going on. So on the text message, it'll tell you what machine and what alarm it is, and what the temperature and humidity is. On the email, it's going to give you all the data on the machine, everything that's going on with it. So that's where you don't have to have a separate computer for this. We're only doing this for the show. So you can run this on your Vortec Commander on the same computer you're using now. I suggest that this independent backup alarm is a separate computer, so you can have your Commander on one side, and then you can have your backup alarm on the other side. Then you can see them both at the same time. Now, if we look at Vortec Commander, what we have here is, well, okay, first of all, this is our Vortec control upgrade. This is an ISIS. All we do is change the door on this. So if you open this up, it's a new door with new intelligence, but we leave all the breakers and relays the same, so you don't have to spend the extra money for the stuff you already own. You only change the door. And that's also true here with this. This is an S3 control. We also changed the door on it. This will work with S1s as well. S1, S2, S3, S3A, ISIS, MCS 2000, and Ultra, and GEM and Generic. So we can put this on any control that you have. And it does communicate with Vortec Commander here. Right now we're looking at, if I pick a machine here, pick this machine here. First of all, if it's green, that means there's no alarms. If it's blue, like this one here, that means it's not communicating. If it's red, it means it's alarming. So you can see your whole hatchery at a glance as to what it's doing. Now let's say I want to see the status of this machine. I click on it, I hit status, and now I have all my set points, my live set points, my setups, how everything is set up. My turning time is 60 minutes, mute time is 10. All my offsets, what outputs are on. Right now the cooling water's on, cooling air is on. So you can see all the functions of the machine, as well as the front temperature, rear temperature, and the humidity. There's the machine ID, the name of the machine. It's a two-zone machine. It's a setter. So you can see everything that's going on with your machine here. I can run a step program. If it's a hatcher, you can run a step-down program. If it's a setter running in single-stage mode, you can have up to 15 steps, where you can vary the temperature, humidity, the damper minimum, the damper maximum, and like this is what day, what hour, and whether you have humidity alarms on each step. So you can change that for the whole 15 steps. Up here, you can have the step program auto start up to twice a week if you want, at a certain day and time. But this is where you set up your step program. Or if you're running a multi-stage machine in fixed mode, these are where you set all your settings here. And for example, let's say I wanted to send these settings to, let's say, all these 4 machines. I can just go fix set points, and I can say send. And now it's going to send whatever I type in here to all those 4 machines, so I don't have to put them all in there individually. So that's Vortec Commander. Then if we look at what we have over here, these are our trolleys. for the setter that we will build these and assemble them complete for you, and we will deliver them for free. So basically all you have to do is roll them off the truck and start using them. So we're selling a lot of them that way now. Now when you look at our single stage conversion kit, you can see up here the additional cooling. We have over 100 times the cooling surface area capacity than the standard machine has. And we also, with all those fin tubes, and you can see that the plumbing coming into the machine is much different than what you currently have in order to handle the cooling capacity that's necessary when all the eggs in the machine are the same age. We also add additional heat, but we're only adding 2,000 watts more heat, because when you need heat, it's the same time you close up all your exhaust dampers and your air inlet. And instead of having 2 exhausts on the machine, you have 12 now to even out the airflow. But when you first put the eggs in the machine, you close the air intake as well as the exhaust, and you maintain all your heat. That's why we're only adding 2,000 more watts. But then we also add a window. So when you put the eggs in the machine, you can look inside the machine without having to open the door and let the CO2 out of the machine. Now the kit comes with a complete control. So and this is capable of running a step program. And so this is a complete new control with new breakers, new relays, brand new contactor, and all new boards. So this is a complete new control. And then when you come over here, you see our these are our antimicrobial fan panels that we can make for your machine. No matter what kind of machine you have. We also have, it has a stiffener ribs on them too. Here we have the water eliminators, the turning cam, as well as all the other mechanical parts. This is the cooling coil support that's used on a VF Hatcher. We do it 100% out of plastic. It's very stiff, and it doesn't have any metal in it. The ones that have metal in it will rust and start splitting apart. This will never, once you replace it with this, you'll never have to replace it again. We have the electrical parts. We have the parts for the old S1 control as far as the plug-in relays, both the 8-pin and the 5-pin. And on these, we never obsolete anything we make. So we're going to support this as long as someone wants to continue to buy it. We have the damper motors. We also have a BLEMO actuator damper, which not only does it allow you to control the minimum and maximum at each stage of incubation, it also allows you to control the speed that the damper moves. With this damper motor, it's too slow. I mean, you can still control the speed, but you wouldn't want to slow it down any more than it already is. On the S1s, this is the old turning cam. We replaced it with a modern version of it, and it hooks up exactly the same way. It's just using modern parts. These are our LED bulbs and our vacuum fluorescent bulbs. We sell both of them. They're much more energy efficient, and they last a lot longer. Again, these are the thermostat clips for the S1, S2, S3, and ISIS. And these thermostat panels are still available, and we still make them, and we always will. There's also some like a turning cam for an S2. We repair all the Chickmaster boards. whether this is the MCS 2000, this is Ultra, that's ISIS, that's S3A and ISIS. Now in the custom products, like this is, we actually have the aluminum buggy guides, but we also have it out of UHMW, which will never crack like these will. And then we also have one that seals, where you don't have to cut the sweep on the door to go around this. You leave the sweep all the way across and it falls into this and seals the setter much better. Again, here's our high and low mercury-free thermostat that you saw on the other side. Then these central alarm systems we build custom, and they're all LED, so the incandescent bulbs do not burn out. There's very little wiring in there. They're all it's all current regulated and opto isolated, so that you can run long runs without worrying about voltage drops. This is our blower to fan conversion kit that we're selling on setters. A lot of people don't like the blowers, and this is an option for them to switch to this. This is also a window that we have that you can put on your door, so you can look inside your setter without having to open the door, and we sell that kit as well. This is the door guide that's used on VF Hatcher. There's problems with this door guide scratching up the door sometimes, so we designed this that has a wheel on it where it does not scratch up the door, and that's available. There's our Vortec upgrades. You can see the different models. We actually do this custom for customers, however they want it, so we ended up with probably about 130 different versions of Vortec. But you can see it with the tilt door. You can see it with an external box. This is the least expensive way of going. This is actually on a Petersheim control. This is on an S1. It's a chart mount, which is an inexpensive way to go, where we can replace the entire box. That's our calibration kit that's not wireless, and we still have that available as well. And this is our first responder. What it does is, if there's an over temp on your machine, it will, no matter what the control is telling it to do, it will force the cooling on, it'll force the damper to open, and it'll force the heaters off. And that's very inexpensive, and you can add that to any of your machines. Now we're getting into the room controllers. You can see this is where we're controlling the entire room. There's the temperature, humidity, pressure 1, pressure 2, and pressure 3. Pressure 1 would normally be the room pressure in inches of water. Pressure 2 would be the 2 plenums. And you can see there's the display. The pressure sensors are here on the expansion board, the CPU board. Then we added this I/O board, and what it does, it allows the customer to actually short out the wires without damaging anything. Because sometimes when they're running the wires, they end up touching, and it'll kill the control. Well, this stops that. We're having good luck with that. Now in April, we're coming out with, well, we'll still sell this, but we have a version with a display on it instead of the display with the knob. For example, there's your temperature in Fahrenheit, your relative humidity, and pressure 1, 2, and 3, and you can also add pressure 4 and 5 on this one. So this will do up to 5 pressures. Let's say if I wanted to change this here, I'm looking at my low temp alarm. Well, there's my set points on 74. My first stage heat is 73. My second stage heat is 71.5, and my third stage heat is 70.5. My first stage cooling is at 75. Second stage is 76.5, and Third stage is 77.5, and there's my high temp alarm at 80, and my over temp is at 85. Now, if I want to change any of this, I just touch on the number, it'll turn blue, and I can just say, let's see, I'll add a tenth to it, I'll say okay, and now it's changed. And I can close this, and the same thing is true with your humidity. Your high humidity alarm, your low humidity alarm, I can change any of those. And then with your pressures as well, you can change those. Now when you look at here, this is actually a rooftop unit on top of the machine. You can see it, and we're controlling the pressure with a damper. And these are two plenums where we're controlling it with a variable speed fan. And what this looks like inside is there's your display, and we put everything on one board on this one, and you can see your tubes for your air pressure to come in, and your power supply, and then we have the terminal block for your wires to come in. That's our new room controller, and these both hook up to Vortec Commander, where you can monitor them and control them remotely. And also Vortec Commander will work over the internet as well, so you can actually control this stuff from home as well. Now these are Jamesway parts. These are all the mechanical parts, not all the mechanical parts, but it's some of the mechanical parts here, sensors, plumbing parts here, and then this is an upgrade for the PT100. Where you remove the blue box on the front of the machine, and then the board that's in the gold box, you pull that board out and put this board in its place, and all the wires are in the same spot. Except the only difference on ours, Jamesway had a barrier block, so if you had to change this board, you would unwire it and then put the new board in and have to wire it back up correctly. With ours, all our connectors are pluggable. So if you ever have to change this, you unplug the connector and then put the new board in, and then you plug it back in. You don't have to worry about how am I going to how do I rewire this again. Now this is the electromechanical control for James. Well, this is the Vortec upgrade for Jamesway's electromechanical control, and that's it down there. Looks like that one's a hatcher, but we do the setter and the hatcher. And over here is the electrical parts, heaters, contactors, connectors, thumb wheel switches for the Jamesway controls. Then one last thing I want to bring up here is if you have a Chickmaster 102 or a 540, you can upgrade it to a Chickmaster 109 or a Chickmaster 576, what that means is you can actually hatch 990 more chicks twice a week out of your hatchers. What this kit does is you end up changing your wall. You end up changing the wall bars, your quarter bars and lock strips, and you add an additional rack up here on all your machines, and that basically changes the setter. And it's exactly the same as a 109, there's no difference. But the problem comes in is now when you're 16 high here, you can't put it in the hatcher. Like there's a hatcher over there, it won't fit in the hatcher. But what you can do, if you change your carts that are in the hatcher to this cart, this is all stainless steel, it actually lowers the trays so that the 16 baskets will fit inside the machine. And another difference it is, there's airflow around the baskets, and air is going to take the path of least resistance. By raising this up, it actually forces the air to go more through the baskets where the eggs are than it does going around it. But this would be an inexpensive kit to add more capacity to your hatcher. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the show in Atlanta, and I'll see you at the end of the month.